Okay, you can see we're in the snow. I'm going to do a small upside down fire. Some of this wood is pretty dry, and some of this wood, I pulled out of the snow. But we're gonna try to see how good an upside down fire actually works. And I'll try to get the time when I start it. I got to put more stuff on there, but you can see some fatter stuff on the bottom. We're going to start real small on the top, and I'm kind of crisscrossing it every layer, and we'll see how good it does. It is getting cold. Okay, I might try a ferro rod for a minute, see if I can get it good enough on some of that kindling there. I got some partially feather stick pieces here. See if we can get enough spark, and I'm pulling back on this. There we go. Ah, very nice. Got that started. Sometimes in the cold, this can be tough. Hopefully it catches some of this little bit drier stuff that I found, and some of that kindling, and trying this backwards fire thing. Probably only gonna have one shot at it. There we go. I know it needs air, but I don't need to blow anything out. I probably should have put a little bit more kindling in there, but I figured maybe with the feather stick it would work. Let's see how this works out. Oh, I might have to run and get more kindling. I'll leave this on. Maybe. I'm just trying to get this thing started. Some of it might have been a little bit too wet, but I got a whole bag of shavings. I'm hoping I can get the top part of this thing dried out and started, and we can see how it does. And I'll give you a timestamp once this thing actually gets going for sure. Oh no, my experiment. Even those feather stick pieces I can't get going. No. I'm hoping I got enough on there now. Still got a few more handfuls of this stuff. Trying to get that first thing set up. And the wind's been blowing quite a bit too, and I was wondering, oh man, maybe I should have put something to block the wind. Fire's just kind of in the open, but looks like we might have it going. Some of the twigs and stuff catching on fire. I'm hoping that once I get this thing started, it just burns down pretty good. Don't have to maintain it so much. Oh, wind's blowing that. Probably should use a little bit drier wood on some of this, but some of it I just scooped up out of the snow. All right, for a timestamp on that, it's 5 p.m. right now, so we'll come back in about an hour. I'll just sit here for a minute and make sure I got enough twigs on there. All right, so the temperature is definitely changing. Wood's burning down a little bit. I'm gonna try to move it around. It has been about a half hour going back and forth like this. It seems to be working pretty good. I'm actually getting some decent heat from this too. Believe it or not, being as small as this one is, yeah, it's working. It's doing great actually. It's about a half hour in. Most of that small stuff is on fire. We're into that second layer, actually almost burning into the third layer. I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then a whole bunch of kindling, but that's about a half hour in, and it's doing a lot better than when it was when I was trying to start. I was even thinking about putting something right there to kind of block this because we're kind of in an open area, but yeah, we'll get back to this maybe in another half hour, see what it looks like. All right, so the pieces keep falling off the edges there. I'm sure you could easily add more wood to this thing and keep it going way longer, but I wanted to try it this backwards way, all the big fat logs on bottom, and just keep working it up. But we got a nice bed of coals, and this wind is killing my fire. It is eating it up. This is I didn't look at the time. I believe it's almost an hour now. Not quite an hour, but it's starting to get down in there. You can see the coals down in there. It definitely feels good, and this was done on top of the snow. I kind of kicked the snow out from around it, but yeah, hey, right now this thing's working. About an hour later, we're into, and I didn't do huge logs to start out with, you know. I did smaller pieces because I don't know that I'm going to be in this location for the whole evening, but I just figured we're going to try this thing out. I don't know about you guys, but this is fun for me. I know I had said it was about an hour before, but now it's actually been about an hour. I knew it was pretty close before this, but you can see it's burning down. It's actually starting some of them bottom logs, and they are catching on fire. It's doing pretty good backwards. You can see some of the water boiling out of some of that wood that was a little bit more wet. Yeah, it's warm enough though. I mean, I could it's even melt some of the snow around here. I would probably make it a little bit bigger, and I would definitely have to put up some sort of a block around or something like that if I really wanted to attempt to stay warm with this thing. And if it was tonight, it would be nasty. We're starting to dip down a little bit tonight in the temperature. I've just been adjusting it here and there, but some of those pieces are still falling. No big deal. So that's 1 hour, and the wind was whipping so hard it just burnt through those first few layers. So I would probably even try to do bigger ones if I had to survive out here in this kind of temperature. First off, this fire would be a lot bigger than what it is, but I would make it so that it would have bigger logs. I'd probably have done more layers. I probably would have went up, I don't even know, 10 layers or something like that. This was just small. Like I said, don't know if I'm staying out here. I want to be able to put it out at some point, but you can see those bottom logs. They are burning. They're turning into coals down there. But we'll check back. It's probably only going to be like a 2 or 3 hour fire max without putting any more stuff on there. All right, so a little over an hour, and it's starting to get darker outside. I moved some of the sticks and stuff that was sitting down there up into the pile. You can see we're down to those bottom logs. That thing was just covered in snow when I pulled it out, so that's the one that's really burning the longest. There was an extra twig or two sitting there. I just threw it onto the pile. But is this I guess you'd say you can see the ends. By doing that fire, you know, this way, and then this way, and then this way. I mean, you can pretty much, after you get it set, let it ride for a while. A lot of stuff was falling off the sides. But it's definitely a decent way to keep a fire going. I don't think there would be much problem throwing some new twigs on there. I might do that quick. Yeah, it's just burning. I moved all this stuff from the outside of that and just kind of, you could probably push these together by now. I might mess with it a little bit. Even a small fire like this, it seems that this would be no problems for 2 hours or something like that. Small one. And I say small, I mean, these are 8 to 10 inch pieces or something like that. And they weren't, you know, real fat. They're probably 3 inches or something like that. So viable fire for this survival situation, or bushcraft, out camping for the weekend or something. Yeah, definitely. I'll throw this thing up on a bipod, and I will maybe add some twigs to it. You can see it'll probably come right back to life, no problem. Wow, with that snow, it doesn't look as dark as it really is out here. But if I just even start going back and forth, and some of this is dry and some of it was kind of wet. I just took off of dead branches, and I would probably, to make this a little bit better, I'd probably end up trying to move, I think disappeared, huh? Some of that up a little bit. Look at the coals on the sides, no problem right there. And you could crank this thing back up when you got back to it pretty much with no problem. I mean, it's got such good coals in there. I don't see why this is not a good setup. I mean, it'll burn. It can burn. As you can see, though, I am definitely losing. I mean, it's burning fast because of that wind. You can see it just lighting up and it's whipping around. It's you hear that wind? But yeah, you could start it back up with no problem. Then you could turn it into more of a regular fire, or TP it, or pretty much whatever you want. Whew. It is getting cold. We're dropping down into the negatives overnight, the next couple days, and highs in the single digits over here up in Michigan. And I'm in like the southern part of the state, but this thing's got great color to it. You can see down in there. Try to zoom in on there a little bit, but yeah, it's getting darker out here. Can't really tell with that fire lighting up the snow like that, but yeah, I would say decent setup for a fire. All right, so I was wrong about the time on the first video. I went back and looked. It was 4 o'clock, and now we're getting close to 6 o'clock. I've thrown on some extra twigs on there. Probably gonna let this one slowly die out here. It's getting a little bit darker. Man, you can't really tell that it's getting much darker, can you? It's a lot darker off the screen, but I don't know, maybe the snow's lighting it up and the fire's on there. But yeah, it's already, the sun's already down. Believe it or not, it looks crazy. It's so much lighter on the screen. That's awesome. But either way, yeah, you could use this fire. I don't think with any problems. It seems like a decent idea. I've never really played around with it too much. I'll probably end up playing around with a couple other different style fires, but I put some of that, you know, up on top of itself, a couple extra twigs, stuff like that. So it's been going for almost 2 hours, not quite. And like I said, if you use bigger stuff, it will definitely burn longer. A few extra layers make the sticks 2 feet instead of just, you know, 10 inches or something like I did. And yeah, this could probably work for you. Yeah, you could kind of see the cool breath. Oof. But yeah, I don't know, guys. I just like building the fires. This video is probably way too long already. I'll hop off of here. I'm sure I could pump this thing up. You already have a fire. You know, we started with the Ferro rod with some of that real thin stuff that we had, and just goes to show when you have good thin stuff, you can easily start fires even in this temperature. And some of those bigger pieces on the bottom and some of the middle pieces were, you know, they had snow on them. I pulled them from you know, chunks of stuff over there, and hey, it worked, right? So yeah, pretty cool. If there's a fire you guys want to see, I looked into that what was it, Siberian fire or something like that, where you put the logs like this and then the logs going across and you have the fire underneath, and you just keep pushing the logs further and further along that. And that would probably really depend on how long the logs you have would depend on how long that fire would be, I'm sure, but that's a pretty cool idea too. I'll probably end up putting this one out shortly because I don't know if I'm going to stay out here this evening. But yeah, tell me what you think down in the comments. Let me know. Have a great day. One last quick video. You can see quite dark out now. And believe it or not, this thing is still burning pretty good. Kind of try to push everything to it, but wow, yeah. I did not look at the time. It's probably almost been now about 3 hours. I did throw more twigs and a couple little pieces on there, but I haven't come back out to this spot. I mean, it's getting dark out. Jeez. Wow. Nice little fire. Even with that wind.